November and February, depending upon the school's fiscal year end. TEA then reviews the audited information from February through June. Then the district submits PING's information regarding the financial report to TEA. The staff at TEA begins to review the information. Then they run their initial ratings in June, and then they assess the ratings and the data that has been submitted. Then in June, the actual initial first rating is released, and then between June and July, there is an appeal process. If the district is not happy with their rating, they can appeal the rating. The final ratings are released anywhere between August and September. So what are the goals of this? In the Texas Public Schools, to assure the maximum allocation for direct instructional purposes. And then it implements a rating system that fairly and equitably evaluates the quality of financial management decisions. The goals also improve the management of the school district's financial resources, and then it increases the financial accountability within Texas's public education system. Well, if you're asking how are the districts rated? Well, they're rated by performance metrics called indicators. These indicators do relate to the financial management of the school district, and also with a pass or fail rating. We want to first begin with the critical indicators. These are indicators numbers 1 through 6. A responsive no shows signs of fiscal distress within a school district. These indicators include the fund balance. School districts must legally have a fund balance to ensure adequate funding for operations. This indicator is designed to ensure that the district has a positive fund balance. A positive fund balance that is not committed or reserved for specific purposes. Did the district receive a clean audit? That is asked when the audited financial report indicator and the auditor's finding indicators are answered. Did the district receive a clean audit? A clean audit would state that the district has no material weaknesses and there are no weaknesses in the internal controls. Fiscal responsibility. These are indicators numbers, indicators 7 through 11. These have to deal with the tax collections. Did the district receive 98%, more than 98% of their funding, of their collections? The PING's actuals data submission, did the district submit their financial information properly? The debt per student ratio in the district growth. This measures the debt per student in relation to the district's growth. This indicator is the legislature's intent for the school districts to spend money on education rather than expensive buildings by limiting the amount that the districts can spend per student. The annual audit report and any non-compliance. This will show if there are any non-compliance when it comes to laws, rules, and regulations. And then fiscal management practices and full accreditation status. Did the district maintain its own financial issues such as fraud, having a negative fund balance? The next indicators are the budgeting indicators, numbers 12 through 14. Budgeted expenditures versus the budgeted revenues. Did the district operate within its own means? Did it avoid overspending its budget? Adequate financing of construction projects and cash flows and deferred revenues. Did the district avoid overspending on school buildings or other capital projects? This indicator measures the district's ability to construct facilities without damaging its fund balance. And next we have personnel indicators, numbers 15 through 17. We have the administrative cost ratio. Did the district avoid being top-heavy? TEA provides guidance on the percentages of a budget, on the percentage that a budget of a district can spend on administration. Students to teacher ratio. Does the district have an acceptable number of teachers for their students? Measuring the student-teacher ratio ensures that the district is within the TEA recommended ranges with regards to the student population. And then the ratio of students to total staff. Again, does the district have adequate staffing with relation to the total students. This is where our WASA formula will come in handy and will help the district to stay within the recommended TPA guidelines. And then finally, we have cash management. These are indicators numbers 18 through 20. Was there a decrease in fund balance? Once again, fund balance is reviewed. Does the district have a fund balance? Was there a decrease in any unassigned or unreserved fund balance of more than 20% over a 2-year fiscal period? Is the district's fund balance stable? This indicator notes rapid decreases of unassigned fund balance. And then we have cash and investments. Does the district have adequate funds available in the bank? Do they have any investments that are greater than 0? And then your investment earnings are the final indicator. Are the earnings greater than $20 per student? Just to give you a little insight, to compare the last year's first rating in the 2010-11 school year, there were 2 indicators, and in this 2011-12 report, there were 20 indicators. There were yes and no and numerical answers in the 2010-11 first report, and yes and no numerical answers in 11-12. The rating was numerical in the last first report, and it is numerical in this first report. There was a score of 70 out of 70, and again this year, a 70 out of 70. This is just showing you that we are comparing apples to apples with these 2 school years or fiscal years. And in order to improve the effectiveness of the rating system, indicators may change from year to year, or new indicators may be added. And as you can see, there were no changes or anything added in the indicators between these 2 fiscal years. Just to show you some overall statistics, out of the 1,029 schools, 1,008 in last year's first report passed the first rating, 1,015 passed this year. 21 failed last year, whereas only 14 failed this year. And that does comprise of a little over 4.8 million students within the Texas public school system. Determination of the rating, a district will receive a superior rating of 64 to 70. If they score a 64 to 70, they're going to receive a superior achievement. The above standard achievement is a score of 63. And then a standard achievement is received if there's a score of 52 to 57, or if they automatically are answering no to those first 4 critical indicators. If they answer no to either 1, 2, 3, or 4, they will receive this standard achievement. But if they answer no to critical indicators 5 and 6, to both of them, they will automatically receive this substandard achievement, this standard achievement. And then the substandard achievement is anything less than a 52. Now, just to show you a ratings count, this year's first report, out of the 1,029 schools, 909 received a superior achievement. That was 95.4% of the total enrollment. The 909 school districts affected in enrollment had an effective enrollment of 4.6 million students. Above standard, 87 districts received. Standard achievement, 19, substandard 14, and no districts were suspended due to the data quality that was submitted. So as you can see, 4.8 million students, out of those students, 95.94% were in school districts that had a superior achievement. And then lastly, once again, I add this little professor at the end. I haven't changed him. I kind of think he's a little cute. He's the little man with the chalkboard there. And just showing that Alvin ISD has a superior achievement again for the 11th consecutive year. And Alvin ISD receives a perfect score of 70. By continuing to provide for the students with the fast-paced growth that we do have and remaining fiscally transparent and responsible. And I am glad to say that I'm proud to work for Alvin ISD. Are there any questions?
pledge.
Now we'll move into the regular portion of our meeting, starting by our invocation by Mr. Paul Taney and moving to the pledge of allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we gather this evening grateful for the opportunities we have to serve the students and citizens of our communities and our school district. We invite Thy Spirit to be in attendance and guide us to make decisions that will be the most beneficial for those whom we serve. Again, we're grateful for the opportunity we have to serve and pray this blessing in the name of our Savior, Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Yes, good evening. Tonight we are excited to introduce the Alvin students from Alvin Junior High with their instructor, Ms. Julie Auger. She's the campus Avid coordinator for Alvin Junior High, and we will let the students go ahead and introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Evan Zamora, and 7th grade Avid.
Hi, my name is Renita Garcia. I'm an Avid program.
My name is Regina Flores. I'm in 7th grade and I'm in the Avid program. My name is Colombo Vega and I'm in the Avid.
Hi, my name is Isabel Castillo. I'm a 7th grade Avid student at Alvin Junior High. Avid has helped me manage my time. I take 3 pre-B classes. I play 2 sports, soccer and volleyball. Avid has helped me keep up with everything so I can keep my good grades. Thank you for providing Avid, and thank you for providing Ms. OJ for an Avid teacher.
Hi, my name is Christian Young, and I'm a 6th grade Avid student. Avid has helped me in many ways, like how to do Cornell notes. Cornell notes help me a lot because now when I get ready for a test, I can just study my Cornell notes and I can get it right. But what I really love about Avid is our teacher, Ms. OJ. She's the best teacher in the world. She will help us on a problem if we are having in trouble. She does not care how long it takes. She will help you. My name is Christian Young, and that is why I love Avid and how it has helped me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Serena Bruce. I'm an 8th grader at Alvin Junior High. Avid has helped me in many ways. The one aspect of Avid that has helped me the most is organization. Being organized has helped me by keeping my notes focused and neat, self-management, and evaluating myself. This aspect of Avid helps me to be prepared for the future. Thank you.
And I just want to say a quick thank you for having the program, and we'll be paying them on the way.
Now we have just a few student commendations.
We do. Tonight is very exciting because we have the opportunity to recognize students for academic excellence from our district. We do have a number of students that achieved this honor last year and are now attending school. So if we have their parents here or faculty members that would like to represent them, we would love for those folks to come down as well and receive the commendation from our Board of Trustees. A certificate of commendation is recommended for the following students because of their outstanding achievements in the Advanced Placement Scholar Program. Students that were named AP Scholar with honors. This recognition is granted to students who receive an average score of at least 3.25 on all AP exams taken and scores of 3 or higher on 4 or more of these exams. From Alvin High School, we have Esperanza Burrell. Jordan. Jennifer Stowell. Angel Melendez.
We'll excuse an egg.
And parents, of course, don't be shy. Come down and take all the photos that you like. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate it.
Where's your mother? Hang on a second. Mom,
Come on down.
hey, you wore a tie tonight. You need to take a picture of that. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. From Manville High School, we have a number of AP scholars as well. We have James Arce, Anthony Fernando, Bella Kayla Yell Parampil, Stephen King, Anthony Randazzo, and Eric Tanini. All right. Thank you very much, guys. The following students were named AP Scholar with Distinction. This recognition is granted to students who receive an average score of at least 3.5 on all AP exams taken and scores of 3 or higher on 5 or more of these exams. From Alvin High School, we have Manuel Castro, Lane Fitzhenry, John Griffith, Joseph Cartai, Jeremy Lumpardis, Matthew Mondragon, Rob Nelson, Morgan Tao, and Elena Tonu. All right, thank you. AP Scholars with Distinction from Manville High School. We have Ronan Allen Sharil, Sophia Catalan, Udetiu Chimudupati, Fabian Germa, Maya Hughley, Camila Joseph, Kyle Knight, Victor Benavides, David May, Chinwe Ubudulu, Jihan Pongwira, Laurel Raleigh, Christopher Rice, Andrew Reha, Matthew Roran, Lucas Russell, Javier Sanchez, Logan Shoemaker, Lindsay Tai, Chun Trong, Gayatri Visvanatham. Okay, make sure you get those pictures. Don't be shy. Come on down.
Parents, you drove all the way. Make sure you take the picture.
Yeah, can we get you to come in? We have a big group. There you go. All right, thank you guys. Congratulations. The following students were named National AP Scholars. These students received this recognition for receiving at least a 4 on all AP exams taken, with scores of 4 or higher on at least 8 or more of these AP exams. From Alvin High School, we have Laura Plinsky. Lee Coates. And Catherine Leeson. All right, thank you very much. From Manville High School, we also have National AP Scholars, Ronan Allen Sherrill, Victor Benavides, Laurel Raleigh, Matthew Roran, and Lucas Russell. All right, thank you very much. In addition to the AP Scholars, we have the following National Merit students. National Merit Commended students placed among the top 5% of more than 1.5 million students who entered the 2014 competition by taking the 2012 preliminary or pre-SAT National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. Being named a National Merit Commended student is a great achievement. Congratulations to our commended students. From Alvin High School, we have Chloe Stowell. All right, thank you. From Manville High School, Uditeu Chim Odupati. Maya Hughley. Victor Leha Benavides. Jihan Honwira. Andrew Reha. And Logan Shoemaker. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Students that were named to the National Hispanic Recognition Program identify academically outstanding Hispanic and Latino students. Each year, the NHRP honors about 5,000 of the highest scoring students from Hispanic juniors who take the pre-SAT. In order to be eligible, students must achieve the PSAT cutoff of score set by the National Merit Program, in addition to having a cumulative grade point average of 3.0 or higher by the end of their junior year. Being named to the NHRP program is an important academic recognition, and we are proud to announce that we have 2 students from Alvin High School who qualified for this award, Angel Melendez and Richard Tofty. From Manville High School, we also have Victor Leha Benavides. All right, thank you. Congratulations. The National Achievement Program honors academically outstanding African American high school students. Of the 160,000 students that annually apply, only about 4,700 students are designated outstanding participants based on their PSAT score achieved in their junior year of high school. We are proud of our National Achievement Scholarship outstanding participants from Manville High School, Christina Deering. Ngazi Chi Uba Inyu. Chinwe Ohudulu.
It only happens once. Thank you.
All right, congratulations, students. And finally, we have a National Achievement Scholarship semifinalist. Of the 4,700 outstanding participants in the National Achievement Scholarship Program, approximately 16 are selected National Achievement semifinalists, which then gives these students an opportunity to compete to become a National Achievement Scholar. Congratulations to our National Achievement Scholarship semifinalist, Maya Hughley. Maya is the first student from Manville High School to ever receive this achievement. Congratulations. thank you so much for joining us tonight. Parents, just to let you know, tomorrow we will actually post the photos that Gus has taken for us on the district homepage, so you will be able to download those as well if you'd like. All right, thank you.
Parents on your way out, thank you so much for your dedication and the hard work you students put in. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for carrying our name so well. Proud of you. Thank you very much.
Okay, we are moving on to two presentations, and the first one is demographics on our projections.
All right. We receive these updates from the demographics twice a year. And so Bob Temple has been providing great service to us for several years now. And appreciate the work. And I will say on a side note, I got a comment from a couple of areas members who were talking about all the time that he had spent working with them, getting numbers and projections, putting all the data together. So we know what you've done. It takes us just some time and appreciate the work. So look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Well, thank you. It's indeed our pleasure to be able to work with the Alvin School District. We definitely feel close. We do get the opportunity to come down to the Houston area quite often. And I will say, things are changing for the better in terms of the housing market. We've seen a real turnaround in the housing market. It is definitely now a seller's market. In fact, home values are climbing, existing homes are selling very quickly, and new home construction is also increasing. I won't hit too much on the economic conditions other to say that the Houston area continues to be one of the strongest cities in the country for employment growth and population growth. The combined major cities of Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, Austin, those three alone have created over 230,000 jobs during the last 12 months. The unemployment rates are doing very well. Texas at 6.3, Houston MSA, the metropolitan statistical areas at 6.1, Missouri County at 6.5. And new home builders in the Houston area have put up 7,676 new homes in the last quarter, which is a 14% increase. Dallas is the number 2 city in the country for job growth. Houston's number 3, but Houston's going to pop up and down that number 2, number 1 spot over the next several quarters just because of the energy boom that is taking place in Texas and specifically what's going on in the Houston area. Exxon, as you know, is relocating its corporate headquarters. When they get that facility finished, they are racing to get it done. Last time I drove by there were 14 sky cranes that were working on that project. One of the largest construction projects that I've ever seen in the state of Texas. And so there's a lot of activity going on in Houston. New home construction. Houston is the number 1 city in the country for new home construction. Annually permits 31,562. You can see Dallas Fort Worth is a distant second at doing just over about 19,528 permits. The population across Texas continues to be centered around the major cities. This is the latest TEA enrollment data that we have for the state. Those green school districts are the areas where we see the most concentration of enrollment growth, and those tan areas, unfortunately, are the rural school districts of Texas. Those school districts are declining in Texas. So of the somewhat 1,100 school districts in Texas, a vast majority of the school districts in Texas are declining enrollment, and that's purely a function of relocating where the jobs are, aging communities, and so unfortunately for those rural communities, it's not such a pretty picture. But you can see the growth does continue to be concentrated heavily around Houston. So this strong growth in Region 4, in Dallas-Fort Worth between 10 and 11, and 13 to 20 is between San Antonio and Austin. Specifically, when we zoom into the Houston region, Alvin ISD, this is a heat map that is built upon areas that have the highest enrollment growth. Those darkest red areas have grown more than 1,500 students during the last 5 years. Alvin ISD has actually grown more than 3,500 students during that 5-year period between 2007 and 2012. Those yellow areas are areas that have declining enrollments right around Houston. So there again, it's kind of that moving to where the jobs are. In Region 4, Alvin is ranked 8th in the school districts based on enrollment growth between 2007 and 2012. And there again, you've added 3,559 students in that 5-year period. In terms of new home construction, Alvin ISD is ranked 10th. Your annual starts is 695, annual closing 722, and then we've got 1,594 vacant developed lots. DDL is vacant developed lots, and futures are 3,422, but the district is in position to see a huge surge in the number of future lots that are coming. We're starting to see the developers come back to the planning table and start to present their ideas and their plans to deliver lots. So there is a lot of activity in the development community because of this surge in housing to get new lots delivered. So we're likely going to see those numbers double in the next couple of years because of the huge projects that are underway in the school district. Now this is just graphing. It's a graph of the annual starts and annual closings. It's by quarter. During the second quarter, we started 200 homes. We closed 169. So we're going to see an increase in closings in the third quarter. The third quarter just closed. So unfortunately, we don't get that data until about a month later. So it'll be November before we get the numbers for closings for the third quarter. So it tracks just a little bit behind. But we're hearing from the Metro studies that the third quarter was also very strong, which kind of plays into what happened this year with your enrollment growth. It is a little higher than what we forecasted. You actually eclipsed our enrollment projections by almost 80 to 100 students. So there again, it's kind of showing that surge in the economy and in the housing market. Now, this is just representative of your top 10 subdivisions. So it's not all of them, but it's just to give you an idea of where a majority of the growth is taking place. This really hasn't changed. A majority of the new housing is taking place in the western part of the school district. Now, the way the data is sorted, it breaks out some of these large master plan communities by their neighborhoods. So we thought we would also group some of them together so we can give you an idea of what your top producing master plan communities are doing. For Southern Trails, all their communities combined is producing about 127 starts. Savannah is 107. And then we've got Shadow Creek Ranch. We just kind of wanted to give you an idea of what the Shadow Creek Ranch has been, your massive master plan community. It's kind of building out, so it is slowing down. But they're still doing about 39 starts amongst the Shadow Creek Ranch neighborhoods. Rodeo Palms, 61. So those are the areas where we are seeing the most annual closings. Vacant developed lots are where the lots are available for builders to build on. Of course, Cold River Ranch, 157. There's 900 total vacant developed lots in these top 10. So there again, it's still concentrated heavily in the northern part of the school district, western part. It's the Jeter Attendant Zone, Savannah Lakes, but it's also up in here in a Wilder, and, the name's escaping me. Which one? York Attendant Zone. Future lots. Now, this is where we're going to see a lot of growth over the next several quarters. Just to give you an idea, Meridian now is starting to come back to discussion. The Meridian is of the size of Shadow Creek Ranch. It's humongous. And so it's several thousand lots. Now, they still have some work to do to get their concept plans figured out, to figure out if they're going to access off of Highway 6 and how they're going to do their entrances. But it is a major player that within a couple of years, more likely 3 to 4 years, they will be producing homes, and when they come online, it'll be a significant changer for that particular area of the school district. Now, we've also got several others. South Point Crossing, which is about almost 1,500 lots. So you can see massive communities that are starting to plan and get ready to deliver, because this is such a prime time for development as the housing market is fired up. So now the developers are coming to deliver new lots. Housing inventory is new homes that are finished and vacant and ready for homeowners to buy those homes. Number one area for finished vacant is Sterling Lakes, South Fork, and this just gives you an idea of where we have inventory on the ground ready for families to buy those homes. Now, when we sort it out by elementary zone, just to give you an idea, this is kind of good news, bad news. Good news is you're growing very strong, but it's in several parts of the school district, so it's not all concentrated in one attendance zone. You've got Jeter that's doing 184 annual starts. You've got Wilder with 157, and then you've got Savannah Lake with 107, and York with 105. So you have several elementary zones that are producing well over 100 homes annually. So those are going to be the areas where we're going to see the strongest enrollment growth in the short term, because that's where we're building the most homes. And just to highlight some of those top areas, Sterling Lakes, 527 occupied homes, 128 closings during the last 12 months, 26 finished vacant, 29 under construction. So you can see they're definitely going to maintain that pace of well over 100 homes a year. There's a total of 2,300 lots in their future plans, and there's a total of 3,089 total lots. So that's well over an elementary school amount of lots just within southern Sterling Lakes. Sedona Lakes, this is a new picture. As you can see, they are getting ready to deliver their future lots. Total is about 958 lots. There's 13 under construction. They've done 57 during the last 12 months. So you can see they're definitely getting ready to continue the new home construction in their development as well. Southern Trails, they split between two different elementary zones. The York portion, there was 83 closings during the last 12 months, 25 under construction. In the Wilder zone, there was 51 closings in the last 12 months and 38 under construction. Now here's just some future. Now the name of this one may change, but it just gives you an idea of the magnitude of these future plans that we're starting to see. This is 288, this is Highway 6, and so it's a total of almost 1,500 lots, 125 townhomes, 301 patio homes, and 1,058 single family. So these developers are definitely getting creative with their plans. And like I said, this is still very preliminary, but it just gives you an idea of the kinds of things that we're starting to see come back to the planning table. Multifamily, we are tracking multifamily. We're seeing some multifamily construction as well. And to give you an idea, there's a total of 8 complexes around the Shadow Creek area. Now the challenge that we're going to have with multifamily is more long-term than it is in the immediate. In the immediate, we do not have high yields in these apartment complexes, but over time, typically it's about 10 to 15 years down the road, as those apartments age a little bit, we do see an increase in yields down the road. So that is going to be somewhat of a challenge as those apartments age, and they start to change, and we see an increase in yields, because you can see there's several thousand units of multifamily around this Shadow Creek area. This past year, well not this past year, just this past couple of weeks ago, the district's enrollment was 19,774, which was 888 students of growth, which is 4.7% growth. So we did have an increase in our growth rate. We were forecasting almost 700 students of growth, and you grew 888 students. So what are we forecasting going forward now? Well, we've got you growing 930 students next year, which is 4.7. It drops off just a tad, and that's primarily a result of the way the class sizes are working through. But you can see in 2017, we've got you topping 1,000 students of growth. There again, that's the anticipation that some of these other master plan communities are starting to come online and starting to produce, which is going to drive your enrollment growth to well over 1,000 students a year. So it's really not a matter of, to my opinion, if this is going to happen. It's just a matter of when is it going to accelerate and get into that growth period where you're going to be doing well over 1,000 students a year. All in all, this puts you right at about 4.5 to almost 5% enrollment growth during that latter part of this forecast. During the next 5 years, you can see an increase of 4,719 students. Keep in mind, during the last 5 years, we grew 3,500 students. So it is a slight acceleration in the forecast. In the next 10 years, we had to grow 11,015 students. So it's a function of how Houston is growing. Your location is ideal for the growth with the improvements in the roadways and access and the economy picking up steam. So it's likely that we would like to see this kind of numbers in the next 10 years. Now, what does it look like at the campus level? Well, the red is when we exceed the total capacity for the buildings. The yellow is when we're just above the building's functional capacity. So when it's yellow, we got a little bit of room. But when it's red, we're pretty much exhausted our space. So we've got you growing about 400 elementary students a year to almost 500. So that's roughly almost an elementary school a year's worth of growth. The schools that have the biggest challenges or opportunities for continued growth are Merrick, Wilder, York, and Jeter. And I know the district has plans with the bond election and with future schools to come online to help alleviate some of this. As you can see, this is going to be something the district's going to be facing for several years. At the secondary level, Ryan Junior High would exceed its capacity in 2014, and then we've got Alvin Junior High, which is just over its permanent building capacity, but a little bit under its flex capacity. But by the year 2015, Manville Junior High at Rodeo Palms would also exceed its capacity. And at the high school level, Manville High School would exceed its capacity next year. And you can see it just grows very strongly because there again, a majority, just about all of the housing growth is in the Manville High School attendance zone. Just kind of want to paint the picture of what could the district look like in build out. We study the school district and we kind of go at it at the elementary zone level. So we look at all the vacant land within those elementary zones. We look at the units per acre, and we develop it out just to give you an idea. The build-out number's kind of small right in here, but it's roughly 57,000 students at build-out. And I'd say that's plus or minus 2,000 students either way. Plus it could be a little bit bigger, a little bit less. Now, just if we plug in your kind of basic campus capacities, so if we used 800 elementary student capacity and 1,000 middle school capacity, 2,500 high school, that would put the district needing about 35 to 38 elementary schools. And the reason we need to go a little bit above that maximum number is we're not going to receive 100% utilization at all those elementary schools. So if we only get to 90% utilization, that's what's going to cause you to need a few more elementary schools. It's a little easier to get closer to 100% utilization at your middle schools and your high schools because those are larger attendance zones. But at the middle school level, we would need about 13 middle schools. And at the high school level, we would need 6 high schools. Now you'll notice it gets just a little bit over 6 high schools. And so that's where, when we see districts that have this size, this number, a lot of times they'll have either a career technology or some other means to help pull some students down to where you're not just super full at those high schools. Now here's just a general location of where those high schools would likely be needed. Of course, number 1 is your current Alvin High School. Number 2 is your Manville. But because of the density up here in the northwest corner of the district, when we study the zone of 288 and Highway 6, this would produce over 3,000 high school students just in that corridor. So therefore, we kind of drew this oblique circle here coming up a little bit north of Highway 6, and it's just because of the pure density of the students that are going to be in that north of 6, west of 288. And then you'd likely have a high school. Keep in mind the Meridiana, sits right about here. And that's about the same size as Shadow Creek Ranch. So that's why we kind of plot the little 5 right down here, because ultimately there will be a high school building needed to serve something like this, and one to serve this corridor here. And way down the road, you'd likely need something up in this northeastern corridor up in here. But there again, the build-out number could take 25, 30 years to get to something like that. But I do think it's helpful to kind of see ultimately what is the big picture, so that way you can plan for the most important thing, in my opinion, is to plan for your secondary sites, because you need larger acreages, and they can be somewhat harder to get if you wait. So it's a good strategy to go ahead and try to secure those as soon as possible. Elementary sites are much smaller, and a lot of times those developers have a real interest to work with you on the elementary sites, so they can sometimes bring sites to the table. High school sites, developers don't want to have anything to do with donating a high school site. It's very rare because it's too big, and they give up their land. Just in summary on the positives, the Texas economy continues to outperform the national economy. The Houston economic boom is benefiting because of the energy boom. The housing market is showing strong growth in new construction, and we're seeing increasing values. So increasing values of existing homes and new home price constructions are going up. So that's going to have a significant impact on your INS part of your tax rate, which there again, it's likely going to rise, which will help. The district doesn't help on the M&O side, but it does have a significant help on your INS side. 5-year enrollment growth of 4,719 students, which would put the district's enrollment in the year 2018 at 24,493. 10-year elementary growth of 11,000 students, which would put the district's enrollment in the fall of 2023 at 30,789. Elementary campuses needing during that next 10-year period, at least 7 to 8 elementary schools. Middle schools, we would need 2 to 3. High schools, 1, possibly 2 high schools during that 10-year period. Districts built out roughly 57,000, 60,000 students, which equates to 6 high schools, 13 to 14 middle schools, 38 to 40 elementary schools. But there again, it's 25 years plus to get to that build-out number. Any questions? These are good challenges. We work with districts all over. We work with districts that had to close schools, and the closing schools is very, very painful and very difficult. All those districts that we put on that map that have brown, that's not good. It's because financially they're losing enrollments. You know what that does to their revenue. It's going away, but yet cost is going up.
Well, when they get here, we're going to love them and take care of them, so we're ready.
Once again, I thank you for your support, and we really do value working with you guys. And, thank you again.
Thank you.
We really are. You know, those of you in the audience are sitting there going, "Ooh, okay, we have a lot of work to do." But we do appreciate the information, and we also appreciate the opportunities that this brings. So we'll be ready.
We have a presentation on House Bill 5.
We have House Bill 5. Rick Shaw and Daryl Alexander will give us an update. House Bill 5 is that thing that we're excited about the opportunities it's going to give our students, but it also requires a lot of planning and work for our staff to make sure we design programs as the law requires, but also where there's flexibility for student opportunities, we can maximize those as well. And so this is critical work that's going to be driving a lot of what we do over the next several years, but it's really pressing right now. We're trying to make sure we're prepared for our kiddos and give them the best programs we can. So Brent and Daryl, turn it over to you guys.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Brent, those community members still around, and the Alvin ISD staff. Like Dr. Brent said, tonight Daryl Alexander and I have the pleasure of presenting to you House Bill 5. What we know, what we don't know, what is our plan? This presentation will be very informative of the expansive bill that was recently passed. It contains 83 sections, and what we know at this time, but also there are still much of the bill that has yet to be defined by TEA and the State Board of Education. As you can see in this diagram, we are definitely excited that House Bill 5 already aligns with a lot of the work that we're doing here in the district. In this diagram, you can see that our district vision is the central piece, the direction of our district. In the continuum that is surrounding that vision, you see the district goals, our core beliefs, board projects, and then of course House Bill 5. Hopefully tonight you'll begin to see kind of a pattern of how House Bill 5 aligns with the other three systems that are currently in our district. Some quick examples of the alignment. One of them with our district goals are the academic performance goal, and this is seen in the assessment and accountability areas of House Bill 5. Also in the district goal of the parental and community goal, which can be seen in the accountability, graduation, and curriculum areas. Here in our core beliefs, they include the community support and engagement belief. It can also be seen in a learning organization focused on excellence. We'll continually transform to best suit the needs of our students. And also in the belief of providing every student engaging, challenging, and meaningful work. House Bill 5 especially aligns with the board projects that you have provided for us, especially in the following areas. In the areas of student engagement, in the area of SAT, ACT, and college readiness, in the CTE, college, and workforce readiness, and in the extracurricular and fine arts area that y'all have defined as board projects. With House Bill 5, our students will benefit from less time testing and more time engaged, and as educators, we can provide enriched instruction that gives a deeper level of understanding. This new law also gives students the ability to choose high school courses that are more relevant and engaging to their interests. Here are three things listed that you've probably heard about House Bill 5. The decrease in the amount of testing, a change in the graduation plan, and offering of more high school course selection for college and workforce readiness. And House Bill 5 does address these things, but it is much more expansive than just the three items listed. House Bill 5 was developed under the general premise that not every student is college bound. More students need to be work ready when they graduate. The grouping or herding of students into a one-size-fits-all system doesn't prepare our students in the global workforce. And while testing is necessary, it must be reasonable and relative. House Bill 5 will provide more choices to our students and the interests to better prepare them for their college or for the workforce. In looking at House Bill 5, most of the 83 sections can be categorized into four important areas: accountability, assessment, curriculum, and graduation. And these will be the four areas that we'll be presenting tonight. Just a little bit of background with House Bill 5. House Bill 5 began to gain a lot of traction at the end of last year. It was passed in late May in both the State House and Senate, and then signed into law in June by Governor Perry. Since then, TEA has released some of their interpretations of the law, and most recently, the State Board of Education, who is the decision-making authority of a number of issues, began meeting, planning, and making some of those decisions. You see an outline of the next few months. The decisions that they'll be making and developing over the next 3 months will be finally adopted in January. So we'll get a lot of the answers probably to our questions and your questions when they define some of those roles. The first area of House Bill 5 that we're going to take a look at tonight is the assessment portion. For end of course, beginning this school year. For the end of course, effective 2013-14, the assessments needed for graduation has changed from 15 EOCs to 5 EOCs. Needed now are Algebra 1, English 1, English 2, Biology, and U.S. History. Eliminated were Geometry, Algebra 2, English 3, Chemistry, Physics, World Geography, and World History. Beginning in the spring of 2014, English 1 and English 2 will assess both reading and writing in the same instrument with only one score. Also eliminated was the rule that stated that an EOC result must count as 15% of the student's final grade. Cumulative score and minimum score were eliminated. And now, thankfully, TEA must convert all scale scores to a 100-point scale, which will make it easier for students, parents, and educators to understand. Another part of the assessment that House Bill 5 addresses is the redesign of the STAR alternate, which will not be in implementation until next year. But they must redevelop the assessments for students with significant cognitive disabilities and implement that sometime next year. The second area of House Bill 5 is accountability. House Bill 5 will require that districts annually evaluate not only the district but each campus in their performance in community and student engagement. Exemplary, recognized, acceptable, or unacceptable will be the ratings that will be used, and the required 9 measures to be evaluated are fine arts, wellness and PE, community and parental involvement, 21st century workforce development, second language acquisition, digital learning, dropout prevention strategies, education programs for gifted and talented students, district and campus compliance. House Bill 5 also calls for expanding requirements related to the factors of the evaluation in issuing financial accountability ratings, which is very similar to what Cheryl Ryan presented at the beginning of the board meeting. And now I'm going to turn it over to Daryl, who will discuss the next area, which is graduation plans.
Good evening. Like Brent indicated, I'm going to cover more of the graduation requirements and things relating to curriculum. Okay, if you look at the slide, it basically shows you a graphic that compares the old graduation plan that we are currently under. And currently you can graduate with one of 3 graduation plans, the Distinguished Plan and the Recommended Plan, both of those requiring 26 credits for graduation. And then we also have a minimum plan currently that kids can graduate with 22 credits, but we have very few kids that are graduating with that plan. And as Brent mentioned, 15 EOC assessments. The new graduation plan will be something called the Foundation Graduation Plan. All students will start with the foundation plan. In addition to that, students will have the opportunity to graduate with 1 or more of 5 different endorsements, and that will take them from 22 credits to 26 credits. They have the opportunity to graduate with a distinguished level of achievement. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. And they'll also have an opportunity to earn performance acknowledgments, which are outstanding performance in selected areas, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes as well. And then also, it has an increased CTE focus, which is leading our students to more certifications, degrees, and licenses in the CTE area that will make them more work-ready upon graduation. And then again, as Brent indicated, we're now down to 5 EOC assessments. At the bottom, you will note that most of the House Bill 5 provisions begin in 2014, with the class coming in 2014, 2015, the freshman class, but there are opportunities even for current students to graduate under the foundation plan. Graduation requirements under the foundation high school program. Again, most of that beginning with the incoming class in 2014-15. English language arts, you still have 4 credits in those areas. In math, you have 3 credits, Algebra 1, Geometry, and Advanced Math course, which is yet to be determined. In science, you have 3 credits, Biology, IPC, and Advanced Science course. That's, again, yet to be determined. Social studies, you have 3 credits, U.S. history, U.S. government and economics, world geography or world history, and the state of Texas has created a combined world history and world geography course. In addition to that, we have physical education requirement, 1 credit, languages other than English, foreign language, 2 credits in the same language, and they have changed up the rules a little bit. You can now use computer programming, 2 years of computer programming to satisfy your languages other than English. There's some things that are yet to be determined with that.
There's some jokes in there somewhere.
I'm sorry?
There's some jokes in there somewhere about it.
Yes, but that actually is true. Fine arts, we still have 1 credit, and electives, we have 5 credits. Now, what you don't see on there right now is speech, and we'll talk about that in just a couple minutes. Now, the foundation, and I want to explain some more on some subsequent slides, the foundation is 22 credits, but most kids will continue to graduate with 26 credits, and I'll explain that. Marianne, do they have that already? Okay. And so if you look at your chart, I know it's hard to see on the screen for our audience, but the board members have a chart there. And basically, so right here you have the foundation high school program. Over here you have the minimum high school program, the recommended program, which the majority of our students currently graduate under the recommended program, and then we have a distinguished achievement program currently. And so, again, if you study the foundation high school program, I went over these particular requirements. I talked about 1 credit for fine arts. One significant difference as it stands now is that there's no requirement for speech under the foundation program, whereas you see it under our current graduation requirements. However, the State Board of Education, NTA, is looking at that. My prediction is that that will be added back in there when they make final decisions in January. And then you can see at the bottom elective credits as well. The highlighted areas there are actually the differences which we talked about previously. And again, initially you see some reductions in the areas of math credits, science credits, and social studies credits. But in the next slide, they're all going to be added back in. And I'll explain that. And again, the question mark regarding speech. In addition to graduating on the foundation program, students will have the opportunity to earn 1 or more endorsements. And so here it lists the different endorsements, which I will cover in just on the next slide. But there's a STEM endorsement, a business and industry endorsement, public services endorsement, arts and humanities endorsement, and a multidisciplinary studies. And if you read the fine print there, it kind of talks about the courses that potentially could be available for students to earn those endorsements. All right, endorsements. Again, those are the 5 different endorsements that are available for students. Districts must offer at least 1 endorsement beginning in 2014-2015 that is required by law. We anticipate, as it stands now, although we don't know all the rules yet, as Brent indicated, the state board has to make final decisions in January regarding some courses that will count for certain endorsements and the course sequence that will count for certain endorsements. So we don't know all of the decisions yet, but we anticipate, hopefully, being able to offer all 5 endorsements beginning with next school year. Students may graduate with more than 1 endorsement. Students entering 9th grade must declare their endorsement in writing to the high schools. Students graduating with an endorsement must complete 4 years of math and science. So if you remember just a few minutes ago, I talked about a reduction in math and science from 4 credits down to 3. But if they graduate with an endorsement, it goes back up to 4 credits in each of those areas. Endorsement earned will be noted on the student's diploma and transcript. That's something different. Right now, we have no designations like that on our current transcript or diploma. And so which endorsements, whether it's one endorsement or multiple endorsements, will be noted on their transcript and diploma. Students may graduate without an endorsement, but only after being advised of the benefits of graduating with an endorsement, probably by a counselor, and their parent must file written permission with the school counselor that they have intentions of not graduating with an endorsement. So to summarize there, the goal is certainly we're going to be pushing all 5 endorsements, and hopefully we'll have a significant amount of students graduating with multiple endorsements. And endorsements relating to the career pathways. Their distinguished level of achievement, again, the foundation program is 22 credits. If you want to graduate with a distinguished level of achievement, it goes to 26 credits, and that adds 1 additional credit in math. That must include Algebra 2. It includes 1 additional credit in science, which must be an advanced 4th credit in science, and 2 additional electives. Again, taking to the 26 credits. And so the 26 credits for the old graduation plans that we're currently under, and it's still going to remain 26 credits under the endorsements or the distinguished level of achievement. Students can also graduate with performance acknowledgments. Students may earn a performance acknowledgement in the following areas, which the state board has not determined or defined yet. Outstanding performance in a dual credit course. We have lots of our students being successful in dual credit courses now, so hopefully they'll be able to get that. Bilingualism or biliteracy, which they have not defined yet. AP testing, PSAT testing, ACT plan, ACT or SAT. So students do well on those assessments, they can get a performance acknowledgement. Or students can also get a performance acknowledgement by earning a nationally or internationally recognized business or industry certification or license. They haven't defined that yet, but things like welding, HVAC, those type of things may be included in there. And again, the performance acknowledgement will be noted on the student's diploma and transcript. There are some other things relating to House Bill 5, school day interruptions. A school district may not, parentheses, without written parent consent, remove a student from a class for remedial purposes for more than 10% of the school days in which the class is offered. And so, if you're not aware, these days, if a student is struggling in high school classes, it's not unusual for us to pull them from classes to give them the extra work that they need during the school day. And so, moving forward, we're going to have to be very careful about that and making sure that we're not pulling them more than 10% of the time from that particular class. Course credit and final grade beginning this year. This is nothing new to high school, but this has now been expanded to elementary and junior high. That basically states that you have to be in attendance 90% of the days of attendance in order to receive credit or to be promoted to the next grade level. And so again, that's nothing new to high school. We've been using that, or that we've been under that law for several years, but now it's been expanded to K-3. College preparatory courses. Each district must partner with at least one institute of higher education to offer courses in college preparatory math and ELA. Basically, this provision, if a student has reached the senior level and they have not demonstrated proficiency in college readiness, then we have to offer them a course that is developed in partnership between Alvin ISD and probably ACC to help get that student college ready before they graduate. And so there's a lot to be done with that as well. Automatic college admission, top 10%. Not much has changed there. Students will still have the opportunity to earn automatic admission into college, but they must have earned distinguished level of performance. And so if you remember, we talked about that, still 26 credits, taking Algebra 2 and advanced science, and then 2 electives. And so, hopefully our kids will be able to do that as well. Requires all districts to make Algebra 2 available. We've been making Algebra 2 has been available in Alvin ISD for a long time, and so that's not a problem in Alvin. High school personal graduation plans, which we refer to as PGPs. PGPs have been a requirement for students coming out of junior high into high school. Now, if students aren't on track to graduate, then we also have to extend that PGP into high school as well, and making sure that we have a plan so that they are ready for college when they graduate high school. So there's some work to be done with the high schools in regards to that. One of the biggest impacts is that we're going to have to increase our counseling of students and advising parents and students regarding House Bill 5. And that means that we have to counsel them regarding the importance of post-secondary education, earning an endorsement, performance acknowledgments, and distinguished level of achievements. And so you're going to see us communicate more to parents and students what it's going to take for them to earn in each of those areas. What are our next steps? We are in the process of creating a district House Bill 5 task force. There really is a lot of work to be done with House Bill 5. In this task force and subcommittees will meet regularly to discuss House Bill 5 updates and the progress of subcommittees. The subcommittees being in four distinct areas of accountability and assessment, foundation plan, personal graduation plans, course offerings and endorsements, and higher education and partnerships. And so we didn't spend a lot of time talking about that fourth bullet, but we're going to have to increase our communication and our partnerships with higher education, and that, within Alvin, that's probably going to be with ACC. We look to have some parent informational meetings, hopefully in late November at both Alvin High School and Mammal High School. To be honest, I'm not sure how much parents know. It's been in the news, but we have some work to do in trying to get information out to both students and parents, and we hope to do that in late November. And then, when we get to it, hopefully soon, we hope to create a House Bill 5 frequently asked questions that we can place on the Alvin ISD website for parents and others to have access to in case they have a question and they have resources there. House Bill 5 resources, there's a couple of websites there. There are a lot of resources on TEA's website. There's a lot to be determined, but there's a lot of resources out there as well if you're bored and you want to look at them. So, do you have any questions regarding House Bill 5 at this point? Britt and I would love to answer those.
I have a question.
Yes.
If the students have to declare an endorsement upon entering ninth grade, how many times can they change? Let's say they start in business and decide they want to move to...
I don't know the technical answer as to how many. I don't know if there's a limit to how many, but they can change. Obviously, we know that when students enter college, they change their degree bills a couple times or multiple times. So I don't know the technical answer to that other than the student and the parent has a right to change their endorsement. There is something in there about the junior year, and so I don't know if that's a cap on it. I don't think it's a cap, but they have the opportunity to change it multiple times before graduation.
That was an extensive conversation among superintendents in the Region 4 area about making sure there was flexibility within the endorsement. So if a kid chose one track, they were on track. And so there was a lot of thought that went into that process. And so the shaping and the framing of the endorsements will be important. But that has been a point of discussion. And there have been concessions made for that. So the kids will have the option to change. So.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. We are excited. There's a lot of work to be done. That makes some of us very anxious, but we are very excited because we know that House Bill 5 is good for students, and we're very excited about the opportunities they're going to have moving forward. So thank you.
Good stuff, guys. Appreciate it.
Now move to the consent agenda action items. Are there any that anyone wishes to pull?
I would like to pull items A and items A and
Request to pull item A and item F. Are there any others that anyone would like to pull? Do I have a motion to approve consent agenda items B, C, D, and E?
So moved.
A motion by Ms. Harris, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Williamson. Motion carries 6-0. Item A is request to consider approval of budget amendments. We have a motion to approve budget amendment number 7.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Winslow. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Meany. Comments and questions?
I just wanted a little bit of clarification in regards to the $10,000 that was being transferred. Was it being transferred from? We have a number, but I requested the verbal description. Was it being pulled from?
Supply account was moving from a supply account to a teacher travel account.
What is supply account? Got like paper and things?
Any type of product that they use in the classroom. So it would be all any supplies, any product that they need inside the classroom. The principal basically allocates those funds at the beginning of the process, and at this time we asked for a little bit further information. What was the situation? And they basically were just reallocating. They felt like they had over-allocated for supplies, and they needed additional money in their travel due to some of the additional training programs that they had planned for this school year.
So, you can assure us that we're not going to have high school teachers saying that, oh, we can't make any more copies, we run out of paper, we run out of pencils, or anything of that nature, right?
We generally allow principals to manage that, and if they feel like they have a need there, then they do. If they run out, then they're going to come back to us and ask us for additional funds, or to transfer from another area. It's a item that is generally allowed for the principal to be able to make those requests if they see needs changing within their campus. I wouldn't assure that they're going to have enough. They had enough last year, so we'll have to see how this year pans out.
They're changing it from one function to another, basically what they're doing.
Right, well, it's in-service goes into function 13, but it still has to be used on teachers.
Any other questions? All in favor of approving budget amendment number 7? Motion carries 6-0. Next, we have the request to consider approval of out-of-state student trips. Have a motion to approve the out-of-state trips.
So maybe.
Have a motion by Ms. Harris. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Metoyer. Comments and questions?
Just make a statement that I'll be remaining consistent in my views. Out-of-country travel, that's very questionable for me, so I will not be supporting it.
And I sent my daughter on a trip very similar to this, and I did attend with her, and it was an incredible trip as she learned, well, more than she's never ever done. And she was well supervised, and because I made sure
I think we need to offer these opportunities to our students as well, and let the parents decide if they want to send their student or not. It's pure parent choice, exactly.
Just a matter, though, that it is fine if the parent wants to send their child. That is fine with me, but it's not fine whenever you're asking for my approval. Whenever I'll do it for my own child. So let's go ahead and vote. We've done this how many times now? So let's get over it.
all in favor of approving the out-of-state trips? Opposed? Motion carries 5-1. Next, we have a request to consider the approval of the first reading of pass-through policy update 97.
This is mainly a legal update 97. This is the first reading. What we would advise the board to do is if you have any questions over some of these policies you'd like for us to provide further update information on, shoot us an email. email asking for that information, and we'll get those responses out to you before our next reading of this policy, and we'll recommend it being adopted as presented.
Do I have a motion to approve the first reading and pass the policy update 97 as presented?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Delaney, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Metoyer. Comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the first reading and passing policy update 97 as presented? Motion carries 6-0.
The next agenda item is on page 258.
Next, we have a request to consider approval of award of RFP for construction manager at risk for high school number 3.
And we have the construction manager at risk method of construction requires the contractor to submit qualifications for the district evaluate and score after review and evaluation by building programs and the project architect. Only Gamma Construction and Vermala Construction satisfied the evaluation criteria. Minimum score of 85 of those qualified Gamma Construction project submission as best value in the district. I've received a couple of questions about this and weren't able to get the responses to you guys till this morning or early afternoon. I hope we were able to answer those questions. But of course, our team is here to answer any questions the board may have.
Do I have a motion to approve the award of the RFP for CM at risk contract for high school number 3 and authorize the superintendent of schools to review and execute the final negotiated contract with Gamma?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Harris, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Panini. Comments and questions?
Yes, I would like to know a little bit more information about the evaluation process.
Who's the winner over there, you two? One of them. Yeah, every rock, scissors.
And the evaluation matrix that we put out is public. We publicize it in our advertising ahead of time. It's one that we discuss with any proposers that may be at our pre-proposal meeting. But it allows the district to go to and evaluate the potential proposers on several different areas. I think there's a total of 10 in ours. It is a evaluation matrix that was approved by the board a few years back. We tweak it a little bit on various projects depending on the size of the projects. Whether it's a $500,000 job versus a 20-something million, or in this case, a high school, which is even greater. So we tweak it in that to make sure that it is applicable to the size of the job. There are weighted areas in which we critique the different contractors or different proposers. We ask them to submit various information on the company themselves, on their history, similar projects, whether they work with the district or not, and if they have or they have not, whether that's been a good history with the district or not, and we evaluate them accordingly.
Are any of these criteria subjective?
Subjective? Sure.
Well, I just want to caution y'all that whenever you have a $100 million project, you only have 2 people who qualify, that you're going to find that a lot of your contractors are not going to even start giving you bids, and therefore you're not going to get as competitive as possible. And so, are these people told before they provide a bid where they stand in regards to whether they score over an 85 or not?
The evaluation matrix, like I said, it is published in our legal ad and in the RFP that goes out. The contractors, there were actually more than 4 that showed up at our pre-proposal meeting. A couple of others that did not end up submitting.
What is the estimated difference in what Pepper, Lawson, and what Gamma proposed?
Estimated
Difference to cost to this school district?
Dollar-wise, I did not have Pepper Lawson's. The not grayed out, I don't have their a dollar figure. We've got their percentage that was posed here that we could probably, I guess, do the math on. But I don't have a final dollar for Pepper Lawson.
One of the portions of the review is because this is going to be a tight timeline on the project, that if the bond does pass and this does come to fruition, we've got to start turning dirt right away, and it's going to be a large scale. So it's not a lot of construction companies can handle this work. One important part of that is the team, the crew that and the credentials of the superintendent and the project manager, and the team they present, and what is their experience level. And so you might have someone prepare a bid, and it might be local, yet their team is someone who they just now compiled. They may not have had that team on staff more than a year or a few, or may not have had that team doing projects. And so their work history and their stability of some of these construction companies is a challenge. So you know, who they bring to the table has been an important factor as well.
Were there only 4 that submitted?
4 submitted, yes, sir. Also, the project team, who they submit that's going to be working with Dr. Frank said, is a big factor. Who that superintendent is out there. It's a 2.5-year marriage with these guys. They'll be starting to come to the table here as soon as this is, if we receive approval tonight, and we'll be with them until the summer of 2016. Having a good track record on a project of this size is of utmost importance. Who do you trust to be there as we go through the process of receiving that guaranteed max price? Which contractor has the ability to help us arrive at a guaranteed max price that we all can afford and that fits within our budget for this project? All of those are part of this subjective piece of the evaluation matrix that you asked about. I will say also, and though the number that you mentioned on Pepper Lawson with the, once you pull out the builder's risk and the windstorm insurance, Pepper Lawson was not the closest to Gamma as far as dollar figures. I do remember that.
Was Gamma the lowest?
Gamma was the second to lowest, I think.
Finished
I think
the lowest?
it was less than 50,000. So on an $80-something million, $90 million project, $50,000 between the two.
80 million?
80, I said between an 80 plus million as far as construction. No, not total project, construction.
Okay.
Yeah. That would give us all insight.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
This construction manager,
I'm sorry?
the construction manager,
Yes, sir.
you don't have any idea who it would be or somebody who worked with before?
Gamma Construction is who we're proposing.
I know, the people on site.
The team.
Yes, sir. The project manager is a gentleman by the name of Ricky Barnett, who has worked with Gamma Construction for quite some time, worked as our project manager for Mark Twain Elementary. John Richardson would be our number 1 superintendent on site. John did Fairview Junior High. John did Manville High School Phase 2. The second superintendent for them is Lee Johnson. Lee Johnson was superintendent for Glen York Elementary. And then some of the other smaller jobs, both John and Lee has done for us as well.
So the difference was around 50,000?
Between, yes, sir, once with the adjusted, once you pulled out the insurances between Duratec and Gamma, it's somewhere around.
That would be nice to have. I mean, I can understand 50,000. When you're talking about 1% or 2% on 100 million or 80 million or whatever number it is. Okay. Cool.
Appreciate it, Jeff. Thank you, sir.
Are there any more comments or questions? All in favor? All in favor of approving the RFP for the CM at risk contract for high school number 3 and authorize the superintendent of schools to review and execute the final negotiated contract with Gamma. Motion carries 6-0.
this is kind of a lengthy point here, but I want to make sure we get all this straight. And Department of Professional Learning and Student Engagement requesting expenditure of Title I federal funds in the amount of $141,800 for 4 Building Champions workshops and 6 Capturing Kids' Hearts trainings in June of 2014 to support the ongoing focus on building safe and appropriate relationships with students. Building Champions will promote a positive campus culture and will introduce participants in the Excel model. It's a district focus to ensure that all the staff are trained in Capturing Kids' Hearts. Then coaching for design level 2. It will serve to immerse principals in one teacher from each campus in the design process. This training is only offered at the Schlake Center in Louisville, Kentucky. Following this training, participants will not only be able to engage in and understand the design process, design qualities on a deeper level, but will also be able to train and coach their own teachers through the design and student work process. We're asking for approval for the expenditure of Title I federal funds in the amount of $8,400 for Title 16. For 16 Title I campuses and $22,100 from Title II federal funds for non-Title I campuses. Also, it's recommending the expenditure of $10,400 from Title II federal funds, send teachers to the Working on the Work conference in Houston, which will cover registration fees and no travel expenditures are necessary. This is basically the core of the work we're doing about the work we design and relationships we build, and as these budgets are moved and as our programs keep moving forward, we're bringing this recommendation tonight. Our staff is here to answer any questions, but we're requesting approval of expenditure of Title I and Title II funds for District by Design Agreement, Coaching for Design Level 2, and Working on the Work.
Do I have a motion to approve the expenditure of Title I and Title II funds for District by Design Agreement, Coaching for Design Level 2, and Working on the Work?
So moved.
A motion by Ms. Metoyer, do I have a second? Second by Ms. Harris. Comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Next, we have a request to consider employment of personnel.
The recommendation for employment of personnel has been placed at your seat, at your computer there, and we're recommending at this time that board approval be granted for requested personnel.
Do I have a motion to approve the requested personnel?
Motion.
Do I have a motion by Mr. Neely, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Harris. Comments or questions? All in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Superintendent's report.
Okay. Yes, I was doing okay. All right, we'll try to keep this brief, but this is an important thing. We're excited about this work. Susan Wilson and the team, Sonia and Cheryl and everyone on board, received the ASBO Meritorious Budget Award. You can see the screen there, but last year, I originally told the board it was 12. I was wrong. It's 19 school districts in the state of Texas received the Meritorious Budget Award. It's a national award and recognition. That's 19 districts in the state of Texas. And I believe we're one of the few that's ever won this award on our first submission. Where's Susan? She's hiding somewhere. Are you so excited? This was that 512-page document Susan and Sonia and Cheryl and everybody prepared. But this was driven by their efforts to try to make sure we give as much budget transparency as we possibly can. District budgets are large. They're complex with coding and state law and how things are driven. And it's very confusing to most people unless you're in it every day. And so we're always going to try to make sure we're more transparent and very informative. And so, Susan, your work has gone a long way in trying to provide those details. So congratulations to the team, Mr. King, everyone, for the Meritorious Budget Award. And October 16th at 1 o'clock in the boardroom, we will have a presentation from a gentleman from... Okay, ING Direct. All right. Okay, bond election update. Obviously, we do have a bond election going on. We have some informational bond meetings for the community. Nolan Ryan Junior High, Monday, October 14th at 6. Then Manual Junior High, Rodeo Palms, October 21st at 6. And then Alvin High School, the 24th of October at 6 p.m. in the auditorium there. So we were trying to communicate that information to the community as much as possible, trying to make sure everyone is as informed as they possibly can. Alvin, you heard about Alvin today. We just wanted to give an update on some school activities. The program focus of AVID, the mission of AVID is to close the achievement gap by preparing all students for college readiness and success in global society. You heard from the students and the things that they've said about AVID. Mark Twain is our elementary school that's a pilot school for the district, and we're excited about the work they're doing there. And I'm not working anymore. There we go. Watchdogs. I'm going to be a watchdog, but it's after the bond election. Abby today, I was able to slip away and take Abby to dance. And she said, when are you going to be a watchdog? I said, after November 5th. So we're excited about this project, father and father figure involvement initiative, where we are growing the program throughout our Alvin ISD elementary schools. So obviously I'll get to go to Passmore as a daddy, and I can't wait for that day. But I believe I was there for the first watchdog program at Passmore, and there was a significant turnout of fathers and men there wanting to be involved, and guys, that's critical. So kudos to the team for promoting involvement and getting our community engaged in our schools. Job fair for support and services. There's that flyer that's available to everyone there. I want to encourage you. Obviously, we're looking for bus drivers and support staff all the time. So we want to try to make sure that everyone's aware of the employment opportunities that we have in Alvin ISD. With growth comes expansion in programs, and with new kids comes oftentimes new employees. So that's my report for the day, for this month's meeting, and appreciate everyone, the work you're doing. There's so many things to brag on about the district, so thank you very much.